I was going to take the day off today, but Putin decided I'm going to take a walk in mainland Ukraine. Buckle up for this one because we already have conspiracy theories, we have the facts that we do know, and we have the implications of why Putin went into Ukraine. So, here's what we do know. I'm going to break this down very basic for everyone. Putin was in Crimea, verified, then all of a sudden he took a helicopter to Mariupol where he drove around the city. He even visited some of the city dwellers and talked about how they want to reconstruct the city, and it should take about 1 year to reconstruct everything. Putin was even seen driving around the city, and everything, of course, was televised, everything was recorded.
Сторона это уже отремонтировали поликлинику. Видите, полностью новый фасад. Даже доели. Вот новая сторона. Это вот фактически. Площадь, да, где мы находимся. Вот он. Значит, следующий.
The main conspiracy theory I can find around this story is that it's not the real Putin, it's a fake Putin, do not fall for this, and that's just an actor. But 99.9% of every single article I've read on this story, the videos, the Twitter, everything, everyone says that is Putin, okay? But I have to do it. I'm going to give credit to those who would have thought this is a conspiracy, because if you go back in time during the Iraq War, Saddam Hussein apparently also had a double who would appear on state television, and everyone knew that wasn't Saddam Hussein. So this wasn't out of the question, but for sure not a conspiracy. Now, let me get back to reality. It almost seems like everything is lining up perfect for Putin and Russia. Visiting Mariupol implies and means a lot for the Russian people back home and for the troops on the ground. Now, like I had mentioned before, Putin was going around and talking about how they want to reconstruct the city and have these reconstruction efforts in Mariupol. And this is very powerful. Imagine you're a soldier, a Russian soldier on the front line, fighting in a city that just looks like a barren wasteland. Then all of a sudden you hear your president talk about reconstructing Mariupol. To a soldier, this implies, you know what, maybe I'm doing something for a reason, maybe there's a purpose behind this. I'm not saying I agree with it, but we gotta look at the perspective of the soldier. Also consider Putin just had an arrest warrant served to him by the ICC, and this is the ultimate defiance of a leader. We have to talk about the fact that Putin has been compared to Zelensky for never leaving his office and going to the front lines. And I'm trying to be fair with my reporting and look at both sides of the story. The fact that Putin did leave his lair, went to Mariupol, which is not the front line, but it's still mainland Ukraine, I think that is very motivating for the Russians. Russia had a really bad last week from the time of making this video. Russia crashed into a US drone. There's been a lot of morale issues between Wagner Group and the Russian soldiers. Putin was served an arrest warrant. Again, so the fact that Putin now went to Ukraine and is saying, we want to rebuild Ukraine and I'm talking to the Ukrainian people, these war crimes are trash, that's a good look for Putin. This is the oldest trick in the book if you study any military history ever. Always the core of the military is the leader of the military, talking about stories, motivating their troops. And even myself, from a soldier's perspective, whenever I got to talk to a high-ranking soldier or they did like these morale speeches with us, it meant a lot to the soldier. And from a country's perspective, specifically talking about Russia, this probably means a lot to the Russian people because they have sons who are not coming back from the front lines. Is this war for nothing? And when you see your leader on TV, they're rebuilding cities, they're doing something, okay, it was worth it. Now, as far as comments from NATO or the West, or really Zelensky himself, there's been no comments at the time of making this video. But again, there's always been a comparison between Putin and Zelensky. At least Zelensky goes to the front lines and visits the troops, and Putin doesn't do that, and that's always been like the comparison between the two. So this really is the core of the story. We have Putin going into Ukraine. I just want to touch on some of the implications, and I want to see if you guys agree with me. I truly believe this is a little showing from Putin's side that now is the time. The city seems safe. things are not looking too great for us from a morale standpoint, from my people, from my military. Let me go show my face in Ukraine and show that I am serious about this military effort. And even if you don't support Russia or don't support anything that's going on, from a historical and military standpoint, I think this was very powerful, and I think people will be talking about this for a while. And again, this is like the classic move to show how strong a president is, even from a US perspective. It was always like, when is the president going to Afghanistan to visit the troops? I did it 5 times. Classic, every military leader does this. But to be fair, I can't think of a time where a leader was served an arrest warrant, then went to the country where the arrest warrant is supposed to be served. What the heck, Putin? So yeah, that's the video. Let me know what you guys all think. I think this situation's rather crazy. I don't support any of this war effort at all. I'm just trying to cover both sides and try to be fair to the Russians and to the Ukrainians. Let me know what you guys all think. Leave your comments down below. We'll see you later.